So yeah, this is Rod Weaver of SpareTalk. I'm bringing you the pilot episode, so to speak, of the product and the plan. And I guess I'm going to be focusing on the idea of lost wood, which is something that's more of a small ball bowling league or bowling variation consideration, although it might have its uses in 10-pin bowling too. The lost wood statistic is basically any frame that a bowler scores less than 10 in. The reason this pertains mostly to small ball bowling is because you get 3 balls in the game. Strikes are not as abundant, and that third ball often comes into play with the difference between winning and losing a game for a team. And also, bowlers who want to improve their average can focus on getting as many pins as they can on the third ball instead of just half-heartedly shooting at the object pins. So the lost wood was something that I had been tracking since, I'd say, the early to mid-1980s, and it was probably an idea I borrowed from someone else. To me, having a no wood lost night is a supreme accomplishment for a bowler if you can achieve that. So the lost wood stat came into play in the Maryland Suburban Traveling League when I started inputting the frame-by-frame scores for the bowlers and the team matches off of the plastic telescores and not just the final score from the summary sheets. The idea behind the frame-by-frame system of inputting mostly came because the Men's Maryland Suburban Traveling League did keep track of spares and strikes, and each team captain did fill out a white sheet summary copy for the to turn into the secretary at the end of the night. And very often the spares and strikes for at least one bowler in a match would not match between the two captains' tallies, so I had to go back to the telescores and count up which was the correct amount of spares and strikes, and sometimes neither captain would get it right. Sometimes both captains would get it wrong because one captain copied off of the other captain's sheet. So after about a year doing this, having to backtrack and double-check the tallies of the marks when there was a discrepancy between the two captains, got to the point where I just figured it was easier to just develop an input system in which I just entered the frame-by-frame totals and marks directly from the telescores rather than depending on the captains to get the marks right. And since I was a pretty good typist, it didn't take a whole lot longer, actually, to just directly input from the telescores because I never had to slow down. I would just input the telescores bowler by bowler, frame by frame, and move on to the next one and not have to worry about stopping the process of inputting a score and then having to go back and double check. So that frame by frame process yielded other perks, such as you could count the average count per spares or average count on strikes for a bowler. You could count the number of 7 boxes a person had, or a number of 9 boxes, or 10 boxes. You could also count how many double headers or triple headers or 4-baggers a bowler had, because I was tracking all this stuff based on the input system. I had actually created variables that would hold or array variables that would hold all the 7s and 9s and 10s and whatever. So that was the point behind the frame-by-frame input. And a lot of bowlers seem to like the idea of looking at the end of the year at how many 7s or 3 boxes or 2 counts on spares or 4 counts on strikes or 20 boxes, strikes and spares or spares and strikes. It was kind of popular after a while and just became a habit to input the league in this way. So it was a little bit extra work, but it really didn't seem like that much, and the league benefited better from it, so it was worthwhile. And obviously the tallying of lost wood was also something that could be tracked by entering the frame-by-frame account for each bowler. And hopefully, if a person saw that he left like 25 pins of wood on the lane a night, he could work more on focusing on his third ball and maybe cut that 25 down to 20 or even 18 or 17, which would add maybe 2 or 3 pins per person's average per game just by focusing a little more. And also it helped the team competition too, where guys wouldn't just throw balls away, and when it came down to the end, they might lose a game or two by a pin. And yeah, then you could always look back at balls you threw away. So that was the idea behind the lost wood in conjunction with the frame-by-frame input system. So I think we'll not beat a dead horse on this and just end the discussion on the frame-by-frame and the lost wood.